cavern in a canyon, excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner, 49er, and his daughter, Clementine. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine.
Welcome back to Historical American Girl Read-Alouds. Today, I have Kit here dressed in her pajamas. These are the pajamas American Girl made for her. I think it kind of looks like a sailor suit, but these are her pajamas, kind of a silky material with a little thing tied at the neck and a little symbol here. In the back, it kind of has that sailor suit pattern too. And she has little red slippers that go with it that have little pom-poms on them. So this is Kit's pajamas. She's going to be here in her pajamas today listening to the story. Today we're going to read the section in the back of the book called Looking Back, Growing Up in 1934. In the 1930s, when girls like Kit were growing up, most babies were born at home. Doctors usually came to the home and helped the mother while the rest of the family waited in another room. Larger cities had hospitals, but many families during the Great Depression couldn't afford a hospital stay. Finding money to pay for even a home delivery was a challenge. Doctors sometimes received food or services such as carpentry work in exchange for delivering a baby. As more and more people lost their jobs and homes because of the Depression, families had fewer children. Some people were so upset by the terrible conditions created by the Depression that they felt it was unfair to bring children into such a harsh world. Other people just couldn't afford to have children. And the picture at the bottom there of the two little babies, it says these twin boys were separated soon after this photo was taken because their parents could not afford to raise two babies. So the other baby had to be sent to another home for it to be adopted. Fewer people were getting married too. Couples couldn't afford to set up their own households, and many working women who married were fired so that single women or men with families could have their jobs. Instead of marrying, many young people stayed at home to contribute to their parents' households. At the top of the next page, it says that this couple kept their 1932 marriage a secret for 3 years so that the wife wouldn't lose her job. Although married, she continued to live with and support her parents. During these dark days, some men deserted or abandoned their families, as Sterling's father did. Many men left home to find new jobs elsewhere and send money back to their families until they could come home. But some men were so ashamed of losing their jobs and not being able to support their families that they never came back. Others left because they thought their families would be able to get government help more easily with no man at home. So the picture there says many men ended up traveling around the country looking for work wherever they could find it. Families changed in other ways too. Households expanded as relatives and even friends moved in together to save money. Everyone pitched in to make ends meet. Children often took over household chores while their parents worked or looked for work. Girls like Kit did laundry, cooked, cleaned, and cared for younger children. Boys sold newspapers and worked at odd jobs. Women like Kit's mother and Aunt Millie found many small ways to save money and stretch what they had. They bought day-old bread and cheaper cuts of meat. They ironed on the days they baked, saving money by heating the iron on the hot stove instead of with electricity. They planted vegetable gardens and even in the city kept cows and chickens for milk, meat, and eggs. The picture at the top says children helped their parents grow and preserve fruits and vegetables for winter. Some farm families survived the Depression better than city families, mainly because farm families could grow more of their own food. Even if they couldn't afford electricity and indoor plumbing, they had food to eat and trade for other things they needed. Next to that picture, it says this whole family worked together to make apple cider. During the Depression, long before the word recycle was ever used, people saved or recycled everything. Their motto was, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Mothers cut up their old clothes to make clothing for their children. They turned coats inside out and re-sewed them to make them look new. They turned worn-out clothes into quilts, braided rugs, or cleaning rags, or sold them to a rag man for a few cents. Women even made use of the cloth sacks that flour and animal feed came in. Flour sacks became dish towels and underwear. Animal feed sacks printed in colorful floral or geometric patterns became aprons, pajamas, doll clothes, or dresses like the one Aunt Millie made for Kit. One woman said, "A 10-pound flour bag was a pair of training pants for the baby. I never bought 5 pounds of anything because you got that in a paper bag. I didn't have any use for a paper bag." So the picture at the top shows more feed sack fashions. 3 girls wearing dresses made from feed sacks. And the picture at the bottom says doll clothes made from feed sacks. I think that material is really pretty. You would never know it came from a sack that had animal food in it. Although people were resourceful, many often went hungry. Some children growing up during the Depression suffered from rickets and other diseases caused by poor nutrition. Diseases like scarlet fever, whooping cough, influenza, and tuberculosis were dangerous even to healthy children, but undernourished children had a harder time fighting these illnesses. Polio, a serious threat during the 1920s, continued to attack both children and adults in the 1930s. In fact, the new president, Franklin Roosevelt, could not walk without canes because he was partly paralyzed by polio. So at the top, we have a picture of a doctor examining children for tuberculosis. And then we have a picture of Franklin Roosevelt in a wheelchair. It says many people felt that Roosevelt understood their suffering because of his own battle with polio. So he was the one that did the fireside chat. We heard his voice in one of the chapters that we read. Although he was in a wheelchair and people knew about it, they didn't usually take pictures of him in his wheelchair. They would have him at a table or something, so it didn't give the impression that he wasn't strong, that he wasn't a strong leader. After Roosevelt became president in 1933, new government programs started to provide jobs and relief from the Depression. But in spite of these programs and the additional jobs that they created, many families continued to struggle. People did find ways to cope with the hard times and have fun with little money. Everyone read more. Library books were free, and libraries offered a quiet escape from the hardships of the Depression. And that's what the picture at the top of that page is. Bookmobiles brought books to people who lived far from a library. And back at the bottom of the other page, it has a picture of a poster. Roosevelt's Works Progress Administration created new jobs. So they created a lot of jobs to hire all those dads and men that were traveling the country looking for jobs. Many families grew closer because they spent more time at home together. Jigsaw puzzles, card games, and board games were popular. People saved their nickels to see the latest comedies, musicals, or gangster movies. More than anything else, though, Americans listened to the radio. In addition to news, comedy, mystery, and drama, the radio brought President Roosevelt's broadcasts to the American people, called fireside chats, into their homes, and renewed hope that the Depression would eventually end. So at the bottom we have a picture of families gathered around the radio to enjoy programs such as Adventure Time with Orphan Annie. In the middle of the page we have a picture of a movie theater. And it says, movie theaters were crowded on dish night when people got a free plate or bowl with their ticket. So that picture there shows some green Depression glass. Just like the pink Depression glass I showed you earlier, sometimes the Depression glass was colored green. Sometimes the green colored dishes were made with an element called uranium, and uranium glows under black light. I don't know if that picture there is of uranium Depression glass, sometimes called Vaseline glass, or not, but I have some uranium glass to show you. Here we have some uranium glass that has a pretty little pattern, a lot like the pink Depression glass that I showed earlier. This is some kind of like an ice cream cup, kind of like the ice cream cups we saw earlier. This one has more of a geometric pattern, and it's really cool because the edges are kind of wavy in and out. So there's a little bowl. And then I have a green plate here. This looks a lot like the pattern that was on the pink one. But the cool thing about these is that these have the uranium in them. These glow under black light. So I have one last thing to show you, and that's Kit's treehouse. In other books, she talks about wanting a treehouse, and they eventually build one. Just like the treehouse in the Robin Hood birthday party article that she saw in this series. So this is Kit's dollhouse. I added a little bit more greenery to it. It didn't have quite so much look like a tree to me. But it has a cool window that opens and closes. And it says Treehouse Club members only. And along with that, in another story, she makes a scooter using an orange crate. There's the orange crate there. And nailing it onto a piece of wood and adding some wheels. And she writes Kit on it. But the really cool thing is that she also writes Grace, cuts out a hole there so that Grace's little head can show. So obviously Kit would not ride her scooter in her pajamas, but here you can see that she would stand here, and they actually have like little rope here. I guess you can kind of stick her hands in to help her hold. My poor Kit is rather old, and so her legs don't allow her to stand anymore. I have to put her in a doll holder. But there's Kit's scooter with Grace in the front. That's the end of Happy Birthday, Kit. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did celebrating Kit's birthday. Hopefully we'll see you next time for another American Girl story.